this is actually going to be more informal. You guys are all sitting in front of me with notebooks, like you're going to take notes. I don't really want you to do that. I mean, you can. Feel free, but I figured that this could be more of a discussion. The way that I did it was I tried to come up with a handful of things that I realized after grad school that I wish somebody would have told me when I was a grad student, and I made them as generic as possible so that it's not like my own specific personality traits or something like this that I was like addressing in my talk. It's more things that I've noticed my colleagues struggling with, things that I struggled with myself, and that I realized in retrospect, okay, I should have approached this differently when I was a grad student. And so I have 6 things that like I said, I've taken kind of the generic approach of sort of trying to describe them. I wanted to quickly give like an overview of my story, like how I got to where I am, and then also really spend at least half the time like actually asking you guys for questions. But before I do anything further, how many people are PhD students? Okay, and master's students, undergrads? Okay, cool. You guys are getting your undergrads numbers up, awesome. And is everybody interested in research, or you don't know? Like, who's like, I definitely am, I love it. It's like what I have to do. Okay, and like I have no idea, but I'm gonna try it. Cool. I mean, that's totally. I have to tell you that when I graduated my PhD, I didn't think. I mean, I was into research, but I mean, I basically wasn't sure that I was going to go off and do like a faculty job or have an academic job. Not until after I accepted like a job, like an academic job. So it's not like I was the whole time trying to be a professor. I was just doing what I thought was interesting and important, and accidentally became one, I think.
Wait, did I just put my hand up saying I want to be a professor? I didn't think
No.
I don't want to be a professor.
No, I mean, I just mean to say, like, if you raise your hand for the, I'm not totally sure I love research point. Like, it's totally cool because I actually don't think I was totally sure that I loved what I was doing at many points during my PhD. But then I came back to loving it and then hating it. I think it's rather normal to do that. So yeah, like half of this is going to be like, okay, I'm telling you some things that I wish somebody told me, and then please actually like interact with me because I'm not sure I'm giving you an opportunity to really get your questions answered unless you're actually talking to me. So I did my PhD at ICFP. I'm from the US. I moved to Europe. So if some of you are moving to different countries to do your PhD, I know how that feels. Also, like being in a place where they don't, I don't speak the local language. That was very hard. I didn't really get the culture, even though it's a Western country. I should get the culture. No, I don't. Did not get Swiss culture at all. I was late for everything. Swiss people were so pissed off at me for years. Also, they thought I was weird because I was eating lunch at my desk, and that's rude. Yeah, in Europe you can't do that. So I mean, I was totally like lost culturally, and I was in Switzerland and upsetting everybody culturally, and it was hard. And it took me 6 years to do my PhD. So actually, before I go on to the next slide, can I ask if anybody has, who's chosen an advisor already? Like, I assume PhD students. Is that your first, like keep your hand up if it's your first advisor. Okay, so nobody has had 2 advisors. You've had 2 advisors.
What?
I said put your hand down if it
Oh, put it down.
Yeah, sorry, was I not clear? I'm sorry.
No, I'm stupid. So.
No, don't worry, it's fine. Has anybody switched advisors? Was it scary and hard? Once?
Yeah,
Once? Anybody else?
I don't want to do that.
It's also embarrassing. You feel like a failure when you do it. You're like, oh, I'm not good at this. What am I doing? Maybe I should quit. Well, I changed advisors twice. So I actually had 3 advisors throughout my PhD. And hilariously, like, you should look at the topics that I started with, like neuroscience. Well, kind of, like computer science, neuroscience. I was actually working, when I was an undergrad doing my research, like undergraduate research, I was actually working in labs that were like doing experiments on animals, and I was programming them. Like, I know, it's weird. And then somehow I have a PhD in like programming languages. It doesn't make any sense actually how it seems like it doesn't relate. I ended up, so I quit that lab in my first year. I mean, because you have like a year to sort of try out different advisors, and you're not like beholden to this person. I was pretty sure I was going to do a PhD, and then my style, this style were different. I realized that actually the technology he was researching, I didn't think it was going to go super far. Like I just didn't believe in it. So I was like, no, I can't do this. Then I moved to this. I don't know if anybody knows signal processing, but this guy wrote like a textbook on wavelets, which he's very cool. Everybody's like, oh, that guy. So I was doing a PhD under him. He he had a different sort of style as well for advising. He decided it was cool to have like 30 students, and that was not my style. So I quit that lab actually also in about, I don't know, 8 months or something like this. Again, still kind of in rotation period, but at this point, here I am in a foreign country, I don't speak the language, I feel like a complete moron, I quit PhD, I quit advisors twice, I must be a huge failure, right? I ended up actually switching over to Martin Majerski's lab, doing a PhD related to Scala, distributed systems, and type systems and stuff like that. Had lots of fun, and it was really cool, and I spent 4 years in that lab and getting my PhD basically in that lab for like the majority of the time that I was at ICFP. So I did succeed in the end, and I ended up with a faculty job that's pretty cool, and I'm very happy. But the point is that I failed a couple of, not just like a little bit, I felt at lots of publications, I have lots of rejections, we all do that. But I felt like there were 2 very dark periods of time when I thought like, I'm not cut out for a PhD, I'm not cut out for research. And I just want to show you that, you're not broken if you decide to switch advisors. If you decide that the thing that you got into when you decided to go in for a PhD, you learn more about it, you're like, ugh, no. Like I don't think this is going anywhere, I don't love it, I actually hate going to work and working on this every day, it's okay to change your mind. And a PhD is a period of time when you should be sort of exploring things that are interesting to you. So you should be trying to find something that you love to do. And yeah, that's sort of, it's normal. It's maybe not normal to switch twice, but it's normal to switch once. I know several people who have quit and changed advisors at least once. So yeah, I graduated from Martin's lab. I'm very happy about that. And then after graduating, so I graduated in 2015, September, so it's been about 3 years since I graduated. And I did lots of things, and actually I just started this fall as an assistant professor at CMU. So I'm going to go through kind of like the whirlwind of what happened to me after graduating. A lot of people decide to go just do a postdoc, go right into industry. At this time, I knew I was graduating within 6 months. I was like, I still don't know. Academia, should I do that? Also I was working on a research area that was very industrially sort of interesting. A bunch of people in industry thought I could do something cool technical for their company. So I was really open-minded about what I would do. Even right before I was going to graduate. So we started talking about forming this thing called the Scala Center, which is a center for, well, it is now a center. Back then it was nothing, it was just an idea. It was a center for doing research, development, like engineering kind of development, and also education surrounding the Scala programming language and general functional programming. And then, I still ended up interviewing at Northeastern University. For whatever reason, somebody told me I should interview, so I did. I got a job offer, which was cool. But basically at the same time, EPFL, which was the university I was doing my PhD at, was like, hey, we'll give you some seed money for that whole Scala Center idea, that like research center, development center thing. And everybody was like looking at me like I was going to do something. Like, oh, you're graduating, and you can probably take this over. And I'm like, what? Really? So what I did actually was I did all of this work to sort of found this center at the university. So I accepted a job at EPFL as the executive director of the center and also as a research scientist, so I can still do research. And I deferred the job that I got at Northeastern for a year. So if you get a faculty job offer, usually you can say, hey, I got something cool that I want to do. I want to do a postdoc at some company, or I'm going to start a startup for a year or something. And a lot of the time they'll be like, okay, well, we'll let you start your faculty job in a year from now.
Sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
As executive director, that sounds like an office sort of job where you do.
Yeah, good question.
What is it you actually do?
It was almost like starting a startup. It was like starting a startup within the confines of the university, which is weird as hell because they have different, they don't let you just have money for things. They make sure that if any money comes in, it has to be very well justified in case of any sort of financial audit, especially at a university which is part of the Swiss government. They're super scared about random money coming in, and they don't want us to do scary, weird stuff. So we were doing, scary, weird stuff as in like being the consultants for companies and delivering intellectual property to them. What we were doing was we were doing like research engineering on the Scala compiler. We were doing stuff that ended up actually getting into research papers. We were doing a lot of engineering and also educating. So we did a bunch of MOOCs, and I also taught a bunch at EPFL, teaching courses on functional programming in Scala. So that's what we did. What I did was I kind of found a way to fund everything, which is also kind of like a professor job. If anybody hasn't told you that yet, you have to get money to pay for things. So in both cases, I had to get funding. And I also had to hire a team of usually research engineers or researchers, and also people to help teach, kind of similar to a faculty job a little bit, but not. And then also, just do all kinds of things related to communicating and getting these research results out. So it's also still kind of similar to academia. So I started that thing, hired about 7 people, and then moved to Boston to start the faculty job at Northeastern University. And actually, you're allowed to do like consulting stuff on the side. I couldn't completely quit. They wouldn't let me. I found people to do work that I started, but I had to still kind of run the Scala Center on the side. I ended up going back. Scala Center couldn't survive unless somebody would be the boss. So I took a leave of absence from Northeastern, went back to the Scala Center from January until August. Then I went back to Northeastern again. They were really nice to me, letting me do that. Did the Scala Center on the side thing again. It's totally crazy, by the way. I'll have you know that Boston is in the U.S. and Switzerland is in Switzerland. So try to do that. It's very dumb. That's what I did for a little while. And then at the same time, I decided, all right, this is weird because the job that I had at Northeastern was a little strange. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go just for regular job interviews at lots of universities. Very stressful. I don't recommend that you teach and run 2 things at the same time. When you do that, you're the most unreliable human being on the planet. If so, I did that. Bad idea. But I ended up getting a job. I resigned from Northeastern and UPFL in August. I started full-time at CMU like a month ago. So I'm totally new at CMU. And that's sort of like the crazy weird hurricane that is between PhD and faculty jobs. And for me, I'm not going to say that everybody does this, but some people do hop around quite a bit. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It was definitely very fun for me. I learned a lot because at Northeastern I went and got, basically I went and learned about a programming language that I had no idea anything about. And I also learned a lot from just how to advise and how to teach from people like Matthias Wise and Tech. So I learned a ton. I mean, it was a very stressful period of time, and I feel like I'm much stronger as a result of doing that. However, yes, for a lot of people I've noticed the time between PhD and faculty job can be a whirlwind, as a heads up. At least it was for me and several of my friends. So I have six pieces of advice that I want to quickly deliver to you that I or my colleagues or we all have struggled with. The first thing, and I'm going to give you a reference to look at and read later, you should make your advisor want to work with you. It's not that your advisor hires you and then you're like a grandchild or a son or a daughter or something, and they gotta come by all the time and make sure you're working. That's not how you should look at it. You should both be excited to work with each other. Look at it like a collaboration. My advisor was not super into just coming to me and being all over what I was doing. He was super hands-off. He hid in a cave and hacked on a compiler. And actually, he didn't really even want to have meetings, which I don't recommend, actually. That was probably a bad idea what he did. But regardless, I was sort of pissed for the first year or two. I'm like, you don't care? About me? This is great. But eventually I found a project that I thought was interesting. He was like, oh, this is pretty cool, and he got into it with me. And I was like, oh, wow, And I realized, oh, we're collaborators. He's not like my parent or something. He's supposed to be interested, if he's interested, cool. If not, I find someone else to work with that's more interested. Hopefully you could always go to your advisor for help, but it's not required 100% of the time that your advisor is all over your stuff. Some people are more hands-off. Sometimes you find a project that might be more interesting to another faculty member in the department than your advisor, and your advisor's like, oh, I don't know anything about what you're doing, but I want to learn. I'm just going to kind of sit here and hopefully I can help. Right? And then your advisor learns a ton about this other thing that the other faculty member is doing. You end up being kind of co-advised by 2 people. It's pretty cool. It's pretty normal to not have your advisor all over your whatever you're working on. Yep.
What about collaborating with people from other universities?
Also fine. That's another slide. Point is, I think a lot of people come to this having either had a job or having had some kind of expectation that your advisor is going to take you with him or her and teach you how to do everything, and you've got to go to him or her as much as you expect them to come to you. It's a back and forth. And actually, I think so. There's a professor. She's called Jessica Hammer. She's also at CMU. She works on games and an interactive gaming studio. that she runs with another professor at CMU, and she actually has this really cool set of expectations, and I think that this was perfect. I wish somebody gave this to me when I was a PhD student. There's a full list. I'm just going to give you a few bullet points from it. First thing that you can expect from her, which, again, you should expect this from your advisor for sure. Respect for you as a whole person, support you in bringing your whole self to the table. Your unique experiences can and should inform you as a scholar and designer, because she does a game studio. Keeping my word, if I make a commitment to you, I'll do my utmost to keep it. So, if I'm going to have a meeting with you, or if I'm going to work on a project with you, I'm going to do that. Active mentorship. So basically, teaching in terms of like an apprenticeship, right? So letting you know about research methods, or letting you know about things you should read. Not everybody does this, but I agree with this. Structured opportunities to practice. So concrete, specific ways to sort of practice your scholarly skills, whatever that might be. Research papers, reading research papers, writing, speaking. And then support for your vision. So basically, you have a vision, I have a vision, let's work together on some sort of shared vision. Not like, you're my student now, be mini-me, do everything I tell you to do. That's not how you should approach it. I mean, you're two people coming together to collaborate. You have different visions. You have a new sort of research topic at the end of your PhD. And I mean, I encourage you to continue reading this longer, and she also has sort of expectations that she expects students to bring to the table, which I also found kind of useful. So you asked about people outside of your school. Yes, absolutely. How do you end up with a committee, for your defense? Like, how do you get people from other universities to sit on your PhD defense? You have to talk to people outside of your university. How do you do that? Go to conferences. You're already starting right now. You're at PLMW, you should find a way to ask them a question and talk to them. I was super horrified to talk to people, and I regret it. Now it's not such a big deal, but I would say I wasted at least 3 or 4 conference opportunities. Like, people sent me to conferences in different countries, and I was just hiding in the corner and not talking to people. I don't do that because, by just having silly little conversations over dinner or coffee or something like this, people will find out about what you're interested in. You are forced to practice communicating, and also you have the opportunity to sort of find somebody with similar interests. You never know. You might find somebody who will serve on your thesis committee to your defense. And in this case, I ended up meeting young BTech and GS who ended up actually helping me get jobs at conferences. My advisor didn't help as much as these two guys did. You wouldn't expect that, would you? Right? You think that your advisor's going to help you find a job. No, these guys helped me a lot more than you did. So that's really cool, right? And I would be nowhere without finding other folks to work with and talk to and learn from. And again, your advisor is a single, imperfect human being. So you can't just have only that for your advisor's perspective. You want to get more perspectives from other researchers. And I think if you forget everything that I told you, you should remember this, especially when you get your first rejection. 50%, I estimate 50% of the challenge of doing your PhD is just communicating what you're doing. I still struggle with it quite a lot. And I came from a liberal arts background, actually, weirdly enough. I thought I was a wonderful writer. That doesn't mean that I could still estimate what the person in front of me understood in order to actually exchange ideas with that person. No matter how beautifully I could articulate my thoughts in English, it still didn't help. So, I mean, also when you get like an angry review back, and you're like, man, these reviewers, they didn't understand anything. They skipped the whole section about blah blah. You have like a long list of why this reviewer just didn't get your work. I encourage you, when you have like this angry reaction, to stop for a second and then ask yourself, could I have communicated X or Y better? And I have to tell you, 9 times out of 10, I have gotten a rejection back, and we're working on it with a student or something. It's usually communication. Like there is somebody like the reviewer totally didn't get the context, like why we were doing it. Like, this is total crap, and blah, 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 and this is horrible. Why would you ever waste your time doing this? Oh, well, there's all these reasons. I guess we didn't clearly explain those reasons, right? So, yeah, I mean, so the one thing that I started trying to do, like, at the end of my PhD, because I would go into my advisor's office and then just start, like, rambling about all these details and just expect him to know what the hell I was talking about. He had no idea. I learned he had no idea what I was talking about, like, halfway through my PhD. But I mean, I just assumed to do everything, so I'm just going to, like, start from where I'm stuck. obviously that didn't work for a while. So I realized kind of later in my PhD that I should just, when I get in front of somebody, I should just assume that they are not an expert, and then based on their understanding, just keep trying to get more precise, more expert, right? Based on like how they seem to be understanding what I'm saying. Okay? I mean, so this is one thing that I didn't realize to do until my last year of PhD, and I think you can finally start to understand. Peer support. I hope that a lot of you have had this idea already. You should try to find other peers to not just talk to over coffee, but like maybe hang out with after work, or I don't know, after, like, you know, did you come here with colleagues from your university? Hang out with them afterwards. Kind of try to develop some camaraderie. For one, I mean, you know, you're a human, you need social interaction. You can't be hiding in a cave just doing math all day. But two, no matter what happens, your peers, especially the people in your immediate lab, are going to be really an excellent sounding board to practice the communication skills that I just told you were going to be hard to develop throughout your PhD. But also when things are tough, like, you know, I just got from the road rejected. I'm afraid that my interview reviews get really bad. I mean, you know, these people can offer usually a perspective that you can't see when you're sort of being too hard on yourself. But again, communication skills is something that you can practice with them. 2 more points I'm going to quickly run through, and then I really want to talk to you for a couple of minutes. This is one thing that everybody struggles with, I think, almost everybody. You're used to being good at what you're doing, which is why you end up in a PhD program. You're not really used to being bad at things a lot, and you're usually bad at things. Especially at the beginning of your PhD, you're not sure what to do. You make mistakes all the time. And if you could be like if you were like a world class, like, you would not need to do a PhD if you were so perfect that, you know, you would be like a world-class researcher once like people just let you be free, right? You just wouldn't need a PhD for that. And, you know, sort of part of the PhD is sort of growing you into that world-class researcher. In order to do that, you have, you know, bad habits have to be corrected. You have to learn new things that you haven't done before. You have to sort of, you know, apply sort of the cognitive abilities that you have in ways you haven't before. And in order to like learn what's right and what's wrong and how to be better, you got to accept people nicely criticizing you. And you know, I find this to be a problem with almost everybody, whether you're a PhD student, you're a professor, or you're a postdoc, it doesn't matter. People have a really hard time examining whether or not something that they did was the right thing to do, or, you know, should they, you know, revise what they've done. So I encourage you to, you know, to basically take a step back and try to look at opportunities, or try to look at situations where people are, you know, saying things that are not beautiful to you, as, okay, how can I get better as a result of this? And finally, the last thing I want to suggest to you guys, which helped me again towards the end of my PhD, daily structures and routines to try and be productive. I realized, so I thought that, you know, I was just going to be, when I was PhD stuff, I was going to be really just intensely focused for like 12 hours a day or something insane. So I would show up, I would get up early, I would get lots of tea, I would sit down, and I would like try to do work. And then I ended up finding, you know, oh, I was reading the news, oh, I looked at Facebook, whatever. So a lot of times, yeah, I'm stressed, I should just switch and look at Facebook or something. I ended up wasting ridiculous amounts of time. I would be there literally like 12 hours a day. And it was, you know, in the end, I would like look at my semester and I didn't get as much accomplished as I had wanted to. I didn't hold myself accountable most of the time. I didn't have structure, and I didn't hold myself accountable for what I did, you know, what I should have done. And so I found by just, you don't even need a lot of time every day. I mean, I think now, I mean, I'm at between 4 and 6 hours. I'll get up really early, like I'm gonna go to the office at like 7:30 or 8 in the morning, and then I'll be done with like my intense work by lunchtime. You know, and then after that, you know, I have meetings. I just do all the other things I need to do. You know, you guys don't have their classes, but you know, you'll be surprised at, you know, how much you can actually get done by forcing this structure and forcing this to be like nobody can talk to you. Turn your phone off. Turn your email off. Block all of the social networks. And then just focus on a task that you've already established that you need to work on. So for example, you have, you know, I have semesterly goals. Like I'm going to work on these 3 papers or something, right? Or there's some service thing that I have to do where I have to really focus, like I have to review papers or something, right? So having the structure means that you can actually get things done in little blocks. I thought I would just have all this discipline and be 12 hours every day, and that was just a disaster waste of time, actually. This book I found super helpful. It's called Deep Work by Calvin Courtney's Associates Professor. There's more sort of tips in that book. But with that, I'm happy to actually answer some questions. We have a couple of minutes left. And also, if you don't want to ask me now in front of all these people, you can also email me or direct message me on Twitter or something. I'm happy to offer like more tips like later, next month or year. It doesn't matter. Ask me questions. Yep.
I'm just wondering two things. What happens if you don't get into any school, and were you worried about your quals?
Oh yeah, quals. I love quals. That's really bad.
The first one is if you don't get into any schools, and the second one is quals.
Yeah, quals. You don't know what quals are? Lucky you. So to answer the quals question real quick, what that is, that's it's sort of the examination that you have to take after around a year of being in a PhD program to be able to stay in a PhD program.
Okay.
It's like, well,
I do have that, but it's just not.
It's very stressful, this thing. Yeah, so I came from a school that, so first of all, not what do you do if you don't get into schools? Actually, don't worry too much about it. Find a way to get more research experience. Getting more research experience is as easy as talking to people, being like, I'm interested in X, and then, potentially reading up about what they're doing and saying, I would love to be involved in this project somehow to get some research experience. You have to have a little bit of, foresight about what you want to do. You can't just show up in front of somebody like, what do you work? Like, they're going to be like, I don't know what you're good at, I don't know what you're interested in. You're going to have to do a little bit of research ahead of time to say, okay, I'm interested in these kinds of projects. I would like to do theory, or I would like to do, like, I'm going to benchmark something, whatever. You have some context, and then usually somebody can try to help figure out how to get you involved in a research project. So I think getting research experience is how you get into universities, and if you don't get into university, just get some research experience and try again. Sorry, I'm gonna bring you up right now. But Zishan and Chris, they're both just started PhDs. Zishan has been, how long ago did you do your master's?
10 years.
10 years ago. He's been in the industry for 10 years. I mean, you can go and work, and then I think that's actually an amazing sort of benefit to the PhD having that experience, right? So I don't think, oh, your life was ruined because you didn't get into a PhD program right after you graduated from undergrad. Get experience, and then try again, and it's good. And then wait, to answer the pulse question, what precisely was the question? Because I think
What happens like if you flunk? Is there a certain number of times that you flunk?
it depends on the school. Yeah, it depends on the school. So some schools are more dramatic than others. Some schools have like a famous, I'm going to fail 50% of people. Other schools fail 10%. I was at a school that failed 10%. And there was like, in every school I think there's usually like an appeals process. So if there was something that happened, it was outside of your control, usually you can get a second chance. But the schools that fail everybody out, at least you can master out or whatever, so you don't get nothing from it, which is a nice thing. EPFL didn't do that, they just kicked you out, which was very good. Anybody else? Yeah.
When you're changing advisors are very new in your PhD, how do you get a broad understanding of the research and top-level research questions?
Yeah, that's a good question. I felt like...
I mean, you need to do that quickly, right?
Yeah, I know. So I felt like I was cheating on my advisor a little bit when I was deciding to switch because I had to get into it. I'm like, well, I'm not loving this, right? I would do the things that I was supposed to do. Like, okay, I got a paper deadline. I'm gonna budget some time to do the work on this, but I'm also gonna budget some time to just look at the other things that the university has. I was also meeting with other professors being like, not loving my other topic, right? And they're like, okay, and most faculty members, it's not a big, scandalous, ridiculous ordeal if a student's like, I'm not feeling it with this guy. I'd love to go to that woman over there. It's actually, it's part of the job to help students find what they are going to do a PhD topic on, and if you're not like latching onto something under one person, it's also can be a little bit of a relief if you go somewhere else where you're happier, because your advisor is also struggling with you as much as you're struggling with your advisor. So I also, I mean, I was pretty stressed out and scared that, you know, I'm like burning all bridges forever. Actually, the second advisor that I showed is now the president of EPFL and was the president of the Swiss National Science Foundation. We're still buddies. I don't, you know, he was pissed at me when I left, but, you know, after 2 weeks he was fine. But, you know, like, yeah, it was a relief for him, it was a relief for me, because I didn't love what I was doing, and also, you know, he has, I'm a to-do in his to-do list, right? And I'm a hard to-do because he didn't know what to do with me, right? So, you know, it's also like, I felt bad about like looking at other advisors, but in retrospect, actually, it was fine, and it was good for him, it was good for me, and everything was fine. But you got to just budget time to look at what other people do, and I know the same companies, I just show it now. I'm happy to continue answering questions if you want to just find me later, or email me, or whatever, direct message me or something. I'm totally happy to provide any context or any other answers to questions you might have. Thank you.
Thanks.